Papa Harvest. What's going on, my people? And welcome back to Israq's Movie Reviews. And we got to do it right. We're going to be talking about Elvis, 2022, this biopic. And boy, was this movie incredible. All credit goes to Austin Butler. I think this movie has to be one of those movies that he gets an Oscar buzz. If you didn't know about Elvis, you've been living under a rock. But I think this was about time they did an Elvis picture, and boy, was this movie incredible. Incredibly exciting, roller coaster of emotions, an incredible performance by Austin Butler, supporting actor Tom Hanks, as Tom Hanks only does. This movie had me crazy, you know what I mean? Had me over here talking like Elvis. No, I'm just messing around now, but this movie definitely genuinely has me just finished watching it, and then it had me excited for throughout the whole runtime. You know, Elvis is a movie everybody needs to see. One of the greatest biopics, I think, is finally here. The last epic biopic that I saw was Selena back in '97, and I was a young boy. And this movie does not disappoint, man, from start to finish. You know, fans of all generations will love this film, and not just today, but for years and decades to come. You know, Elvis is told from the point of view of Colonel Parker, played by Tom Cruise, who used to be Elvis's manager. He tells a story, you know, of how he met Elvis, played by Austin Butler, who's gonna get a good look at in Hollywood after his role. Man, Jesus, can't say he came out of nowhere, because he really didn't. You know, he did Disney, and he used to date Vanessa Hudgens for a long time, and man, he knocked this role out the park. And you know, Tom Hanks played, you know, Colonel Parker, and he explains how the singer took the world by storm. And he explains this through a process over the film. You know, the film covers the years of Elvis's life as a young adult until his passing as a pretty middle-aged man. He wasn't really old when he passed. You know, he just eventually, you know, declined. You know, this was an incredible and exciting film from the opening scene until the credits rolled. You know, the movie had me going up and down, man. The roller coaster of emotions that you go through in this film are second to none. You know, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna feel uplifted, you're gonna feel down. It's one of those movies where it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? It tests you to see if you're actually human, if you have feelings. This movie's one of those movies. And, you know, Austin's performance is definitely a positive of the film. You know, as the king of rock and roll, he's not only revolutionary because he's playing such a revolutionary character, but he definitely embodies him in such a way where you really looking at Elvis on screen. It's ridiculous how he was able to just manufacture that into his soul. It's impossible to take your eyes off of him in the film. It really is. You know, he truly becomes Elvis with his mannerisms, his dancing, his cadence. You know, Austin's performance to me is Oscar worthy. If he doesn't win this, man, it would be a shame, seriously. Just like the rest of the film. You know, it's the costume design, the cinematography, the music, the epicness just flows consistently through. This is a perfect film. And he utilizes his strengths in this movie to a T. You know, the movie humanizes Elvis. I don't know if it's just Austin's performance, but the movie definitely humanizes Elvis, where audiences see him as more than just this performer, this singer, this larger-than-life personality. You know, it's heartbreaking to see how, you know, his larger-than-life personality and larger-than-life legend never lived the life he actually wanted. You know, the film unites both Elvis fans and the non-enthusiasts by showing this icon in a never before seen kind of profile, which I thought was really cool. Following Elvis throughout his life and witnessing his love. It's crazy. His love of music made me feel as if, he was a friend of mine for years. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to feel like that after watching this film, during the film. Producer, director, writer, Baz Luhrmann delivers an incredible film and story here. Kudos to him. He's definitely going to get a lot of work his way because he portrays Elvis in such a perfect light, where Elvis wasn't this perfect character, but he did it in a very, very respectful way. It's completely engaging. It's gonna bring up questions. It's gonna bring up dialogue and conversation amongst people. And it has this perfect mix of modern music, along with the Elvis great classics, along with intertwining between Elvis and the Colonel's point of views, which I thought was really cool. The way they were able to incorporate that archives. They have archival elements such as newspaper headlines and comic book art that, for the most part are put to good use. And the film ends with, I don't want to spoil the film, but, it ends with a video recording of Elvis's last concert. The costumes were identical. They were spectacular. The scene of Elvis's Las Vegas residency wearing his iconic white suit is beautiful, since it looks like the viewers are watching a live performance. Man, Austin, man, this is one movie that you should definitely watch in theaters to capture its greatness. The music was blaring, Austin's acting. I just can't talk about it enough. He is Elvis. I'm happy they waited this long to do this film so they could find the right actor, and they definitely found him. And the cinematography should be experienced on a big screen. This movie feels like a concert. It really does. Elvis offers, this movie, has like several themes, but the most important one that resonated with me is to live life the way you want to. I think that's important, especially with the youth nowadays. You definitely got to speak to them in many ways like this. Elvis's mother warned him throughout the movie, right? When he was young, of living a life to please others, to not do that, to make sure you live life on your accord. And eventually he lost himself, and, which is exactly what happened, because, he wanted to live to please others. And a lot of us do. But sometimes you really got to think about yourself and your mental health. And, Elvis never lived his life for himself. And in the end, it consumed him. It was one of his not so much achieving, results. But at the end, he went out like a legend. He definitely went out like a legend. A movie I think is for everybody. It's just one of those movies where it's rare, because you're not going to get a movie like this. You know what I mean? I think it tells his life in a very dramatic way, as one of the greatest singers ever to perform on a stage. Once you see this movie, you're going to realize how much influence he had on many musicians to this day. This is definitely a musical, biographical drama, and it takes you through this Presley era and leaves you pretty much spellbound with his, memories. And he's not only dubbed as the king of rock and roll. A lot of people will say otherwise, but he definitely is. After you see the story, you're gonna realize that he's recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the best-selling solo music artist of all time. Right there with Michael Jackson, right there along with the greats. The man has inspired many, including MJ himself. And he entertained millions, and, he's been loved by maybe even more people than MJ. He deserved a biopic befitting of his stature, and this was it. We could only thank the director, Luhrmann, for providing him with this tribute. And yeah, there's not much more to say. You know, Elvis isn't only going to entertain you, but it would also leave you mesmerized, as it takes you to a very trivial experience, man. The memories that this movie is going to give you is going to be second to none. If you were a fan of Elvis Presley, if you're much older, this movie is going to bring you back. And if you're a younger person, it's going to teach you, certain lessons. And I gotta, give credit to Olivia DeJonge. She plays Priscilla Presley in this movie, his wife. And, Elvis was such a controversial figure in the media, due to racial issues in America, his sexually provocative nature when it came to being on stage, the way he moved, the way he had women going fucking nuts, and his, over-the-top, energized interpretations made him popular among female audiences, females went nuts. But they also brought, him a lot of criticism from political and extreme Americanized socialist, racist. People didn't like that. He loved everybody. He tried, and I'm not gonna say tried, he did definitely blend his music and, definitely help unite blacks and whites and all alike. And, this story, it was not just about music, but, when you're looking at a biographical drama, the first and most important thing in that department is the acting. And everyone took their job serious in this movie. Everyone has to look like the real character, and they actually did. And they should be comfortable with the transformations throughout this film. And nobody transforms to the light that Austin Butler ascended to. While he's on that screen, he does nothing but magic. Without any doubt, I think Mr. Butler is and should win an Oscar. The best performance by far from anybody in the last decade. I think the last person that he comes close to is Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles. That's how great this guy was. And, back to Olivia DeJonge, she looked gorgeous as his wife. Even though her performance doesn't, show up over with the heavy makeup, even though that was mandatory for the most part, I think, she did good in the few scenes that she actually had, and, the second and third most important things about this biopic, like I mentioned before, the production design, the technical aspects that you never lose. The camera, captures everything in such a great frame. You can tell the editing boosted the final impact with the color and B&W. Mixed transitions with the footage-like scenes. And, I'm not going to bore you with those details, but you definitely got to go check this out. This is a definitely can't miss. Man, 9.5 out of 10. Very close to a 10. So definitely go check this out. Let me know what you think. Hit me up on the Discord. And let me know if you disagree with me, man. I think this movie is one of the best movies up to date. It's up there with Selena. It's up there with The Wolf of Wall Street, Notorious. Yeah, definitely hit me up. And intrigue me, while I'll be here dancing with my blue suede shoes. To the next one. Peace.